Have you ever looked into her eyes and felt something you couldn't put into words, like a storm brewing inside of you that you couldn't name, but still knew was there? A sweetness that makes you drop your guard, make you forget your own power for just a second. No, this isn't some romanticized line from a poem. This is design at work. There's knowledge that we've forgotten. It's not because it's wrong, but because it's too costly to grasp. Socrates, the philosopher, didn't shy away from this knowledge. He stepped right into it. And what he uncovered wasn't about hating women, but about seeing the deeper truth of what makes them who they are. It's a truth that still lingers in the hearts of men today. And here's the thing. He wasn't bitter. No, he spoke with reason, with fire-tempered understanding. He warned men that where clarity shapes men, women are formed in layers of smoke. He didn't say this to degrade, but to awaken. Because let's face it, what's veiled shouldn't be trusted blindly. And what enchants us needs to be understood before it can pull us under. Now, the men of Athens, they laughed at him. They mocked him. The jurors condemned him. But Socrates, he just smiled. He didn't resent their ignorance. Why? Because he knew something they didn't. A man who sees a woman only for what she appears to be and not for how she truly works is like a soldier getting seduced by the flash of an enemy's blade. It looks beautiful, but it's deadly. Socrates, he didn't just talk. He asked questions. And here's one for you. Why does she desire power when she's hidden in the shadows? Why does her affection often come with a side of strategy? And why, when she's quiet, does it feel like her silence speaks louder than her words? If you don't ask yourself those questions, you won't see the truth behind the illusion. And if you don't see it, you'll kneel, but not out of devotion, out of delusion. In the Republic, Socrates describes the ideal soul balanced, ruled by reason, not driven by desire or impulse. But let me ask you, what happens when a man builds his life around a woman whose nature he doesn't understand? That's not a soul you're building. That's a shrine to confusion. Socrates warned of the tyrant soul, one that's driven by desire. It's always thirsty, always wanting more, but never satisfied. How many men do you know like this? Men who put on the suit of reason, but are chained by the need for female approval. How many men build empires not for legacy, but to impress a woman who wouldn't even stay after the walls are torn down? Here's the deal. Socrates wasn't warning you about her. He was warning you about yourself. When you don't know her nature, she's not your enemy. She's not your savior either. No, she's the test, and every man has to pass it, or get broken by it. You've been taught to look for beauty, but Socrates, he knew beauty was just the bait. The real question is, what's behind it? What's the intention behind it? This is where so many men fail. They chase the form, but it's the essence that matters. You chase her touch and forget to learn her pattern. You don't study her, you fall for her. And when you fall, she won't catch you, not because she's cruel, but because nature hasn't designed her to. She selects, she tests, she adapts, but she does not build. That's your job. That's your curse and your crown. You, as a man, are called to build. You're meant to know who you are, so you can stand firm in that knowledge whether she stays or leaves. Socrates, he didn't tell you to hate the world. He told you to interrogate it, and that includes your thoughts about her, your needs, your weaknesses, your longings. If you don't take a hard look at these things, she'll see them, and she'll use them, not because she's malicious, but because it's simply part of her design. Just like the river erodes the rock, she doesn't hate the man she outmaneuvers. She's simply following her nature. But are you following yours? Socrates, he lived surrounded by men who misunderstood power. They thought it came from votes, silver, applause. But he knew the truth. Power belongs to the man who cannot be deceived, especially not by what he loves. Here's where you start. You were not born to orbit her. You were born to govern yourself. Socrates said, the unexamined life isn't worth living. But the unexamined desire, that's even more dangerous. And no desire is more camouflaged than the desire for women. It's wrapped up in devotion. It sounds like truth. It dances like destiny. But the deeper answer is survival, selection, instinct. You call it love. She calls it timing. In Phaedrus, Socrates warns us that love, if left unchecked by reason, becomes a kind of madness. Divine, maybe, but madness all the same. And look around you. How many men are trapped in that cycle today? How many have given up their mission their values, their sovereignty. For what? A glance, a fix of dopamine, a soft voice, and a warm body. You weren't born to be devoured by the feminine. You were born to understand it. Socrates observed that while men search for truth, women seek alignment, not with truth, but with security. And that's not an insult. It's biology, it's adaptive brilliance, but you've got to see it for what it is. She's not looking for righteousness. She's looking for survival. She's looking for strength, status, and stability. Your intellect won't seduce her. Your ambition will. Your certainty, your ability to command your reality, that will. But if you hand her the crown before you wear your own, she won't kneel. If you put her above your mission, she'll test you until you fall. She's not cruel. She's just responding to what you've shown her, that your soul is for sale. Socrates believed the soul had three parts: reason, spirit, and appetite. The highest man lives where reason rules, but when appetite sexual, emotional, or social takes the lead, the man dissolves. He stops leading. He starts following, not her, but his own hunger for her. You've seen these men. They have no light unless she's giving it to them. They kneel without asking what altar they're kneeling before. They'll burn their principles just to keep her warm. Don't be that guy. Socrates lived among people who mistook noise for wisdom, beauty for virtue, charm for truth. He saw through it all, and when he challenged these illusions, they killed him for it. But his voice didn't die. It's still here, not for the crowd, not for the weak-hearted, but for the man who dares to see clearly. He saw that women are, by nature, more attuned to the present. They're in tune with emotion, safety, and what's happening now. While men, we're cursed and blessed with the weight of the future. Our minds stretch forward. Our souls ache for legacy. We carry the burden of vision. But vision is costly, and the feminine offers us a beautiful way to forget it, to trade it for comfort, warmth, and the illusion of peace. But your peace, it can't come from her. It must come from clarity, and she will test your clarity. She'll test your frame. She'll test your conviction. She'll mirror your doubts and insecurities with stunning precision. And if you can't handle it, if you haven't mastered yourself, she'll master you instead, not out of malice, but out of instinct. You've been taught to chase her attention, her affection, her validation, but that's not where power lies. Socrates taught us that power doesn't come from seeking approval. It comes from not needing it, from standing firm in your own purpose. Let me put it bluntly. You were not born to chase after her. You were born to chase your purpose. Socrates taught that an unexamined life isn't worth living. But so many men today forget this. They've abandoned their mission to chase the approval of women. They've traded their vision for a few fleeting moments of affection. And in doing so, they've lost themselves. Socrates, he was clear about this. He wasn't just talking about power over others. No, he was talking about mastering your own impulses, your own desires. He warned that if you're not careful, if you let your appetites drive you, you'll fall into the trap. And the first trap? The feminine mystery. It wears the mask of love. It's wrapped in devotion, in desire, but it's actually just a test. Why? Because the feminine doesn't need to be understood in the way we think. It's a force, a mystery. It can't be controlled or tamed. It's a tide, constantly shifting, and if you don't have your own ship, your own strong sense of direction, you'll be swept away by it. But if you build yourself right, if you center yourself in your own values, your own mission, then she'll align with you, not because you forced it, not because you demanded it, but because your strength, your purpose, your clarity will naturally draw her in. Here's the truth. She's not looking for a man who bends to her will. She's looking for a man who stands tall, who has a mission of his own. A man who can lead with conviction, not bend with every change in her mood. And that's the key. She doesn't want you broken. She doesn't want you needy. She doesn't even want you nice. If you're nice because you're afraid of losing her. No. What she wants is the real thing. A man who knows himself. A man who stands firm, even when the world shifts beneath his feet. A man who knows what he's about, even when she's testing him, even when she's challenging him. Now, we're not talking about dominance here. We're not talking about forcing her to submit or bending her to your will. What we're talking about is sovereignty. Sovereignty of the self. A man who has command over his own soul. He doesn't seek her approval. He doesn't chase after her love. He's not desperate for her validation. He simply is. And here's the thing. That man, the one who stands strong, unwavering, despite what the world throws at him, that's the man who becomes untouchable. Not because he's cold, not because he's indifferent, but because he is whole. And when you are whole, when you have mastery over your own desires, you will no longer be shaken by her tests. Socrates didn't beg for loyalty. He didn't demand love. He simply became the man who didn't need it. And in doing so, loyalty and love followed him naturally. That's the paradox. You don't get what you need by chasing after it. You get it by becoming the kind of man who doesn't need it at all. She will feel that, she will respect that, not out of fear, but because, deep down, she knows. A man who doesn't bend is a man who can be trusted. A man who stands firm is a man who can be followed. So, ask yourself, what kind of man are you becoming? Are you becoming a man who chases approval, who chases affection? Or are you becoming a man who stands in his own truth, who pursues his own purpose, who isn't swayed by every change in her mood? You can be that man. The man who doesn't need her to define him. The man who doesn't seek her love because he already loves himself. The man who stands tall in his own sovereignty, not because he's perfect, but because he's whole. When you stop chasing her approval, when you stop needing her to fill the emptiness inside of you, that's when you truly become free. That's when you become the kind of man who doesn't just win her affection. He earns it, and when he earns it, it's not out of desperation. It's out of respect. It's because she can see that he is whole, that he doesn't need her, but he chooses her. And when she feels that, when she sees that, that's when the game shifts. Not because she submits to you, but because she recognizes you as the man you are. You are the gravity. She will orbit you, not because she has to, but because she wants to. So here's the bottom line. Stop chasing after her. Stop looking for validation in her eyes. Start looking for it within yourself. Master your own desires, your own needs, your own purpose. When you do that, when you become the man who stands unshaken, she will align with you naturally. And that, my friend, is when you've truly won. So let's get real. You're not here to bend. You're not here to chase her. You're not here to play the game for her approval, for her affection, or for the scraps of attention she throws your way. No, you were born to govern yourself, and that means mastering yourself, your desires, your actions, your weaknesses. Socrates taught us that the unexamined life isn't worth living. But today, most men aren't examining their desires. They're chasing them. Chasing women, chasing approval, chasing validation. They've become so consumed by the illusion of what the feminine can offer that they forget the one thing that matters, their own purpose. And here's the problem with that. The more you chase, the more you lose yourself. The more you become reliant on someone else for your sense of self-worth, the more fragile you become. Because here's the truth. No woman, no person, no thing can make you whole. That's your responsibility. When you put the feminine on a pedestal, when you make her your reason for living, when you bend your will just to win her affection, you've lost. Not because she's evil or wrong, not because she's cruel, but because you've surrendered your sovereignty. You've given up your power. You've made her the foundation of your identity. And when you do that, she doesn't respect you. She doesn't see you as a man anymore. She sees you as a puppet, dancing to her tune. But when you stand tall, when you know who you are, when you don't need her approval to validate your existence, that's when things change. That's when you've become the man who commands respect, not by demanding it, but by earning it through the strength of your character, the clarity of your mission, and the integrity of your actions. Now, this isn't about being cold or indifferent. This isn't about shutting yourself off from women or pretending you don't have needs. This is about becoming the kind of man who is unshaken by the tests, the challenges, the temptations that come your way. It's about knowing your value, standing firm in your beliefs, and not letting anyone, not even the woman you desire, make you question your worth. The truth is, when you become the kind of man who doesn't bend, she will feel it, not in fear, not in submission, but in awe. She will see the strength in you, the clarity in your vision, and the power in your conviction. And when that happens, she won't be able to help herself. She will align with you, not because she has to, but because she wants to. And that, my friend, is the power of sovereignty. That's the power that comes from knowing who you are, understanding your purpose, and mastering your desires. When you become the man who stands unshaken, When you become the man who doesn't need her validation to feel whole, you become the man who can love without losing himself. You become the man who can lead without dominating. You become the man who can feel deeply without falling apart. So ask yourself, are you ready to be that man? Are you ready to stop chasing after approval? Are you ready to stand tall, firm in your purpose, and unshaken by the trials life throws your way? If you can answer yes, then you're on the path to true power. You're on the path to mastering yourself, mastering your desires, and becoming the kind of man who doesn't need the world's approval, but attracts it naturally. You see, when you stop chasing her, when you stop bending to her will, when you stop needing her affection to feel complete, that's when you become untouchable. Not because you're unkind, not because you're cold, but because you are whole. And when you are whole, when you are strong, when you stand firm in your beliefs and your values, she will respect you. Not because she has to, but because she can see that you don't need her to define you. You are your own man. You are your own force. And that is the kind of man that the world and the woman you desire will never forget. So, the choice is yours. Do you continue to chase? Do you continue to bend? Or do you stand tall, stand firm, stand for yourself? And when you do, the world will see you, and she will too. And that, my friend, is where true love begins. Not with her, but with you. So rise. Rise without rage. Rise without apology. Rise without fear. Not against her, but for yourself, for your own truth, for your own clarity, for your own strength. That's the path Socrates would have shown you, and that's the path to becoming the man you were meant to be.